Hello and welcome to Floor Planner. Today we're talking about the advanced tools and our demo. Dated today, we're going to make a recording of this session. Today is May 16th, 2023, 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Eastern Daylight Time here in the USA. I'd like to note the time and date on it because Floor Planner is not a stagnant program. It keeps evolving, and I like to have kind of a placeholder as to where this recording was made, knowing that there's going to be more advances coming beyond the state. But this is a point of reference for today. So let's get started. We're going to do some PowerPoint presentation first, get some basics out of the way. I'd rather do more live demo with you all for sure, because this is an advanced tools webinar. It goes in the assumption that you've had some time to go ahead and explore Floor Planner, get acclimated with it with either an introduction webinar previously, or that you're just comfortable enough to say, what about additional tools? What about when we go beyond a flat ceiling? What about those other architectural elements that are truly part of the design world? How do we handle those? So we got a lot to talk about today. So hold on tight and let's get started. Let's get the PowerPoint on its way. In case you didn't know by now, yes, my name is Bob. I'm based here in the United States. Although Floor Planner is a European-based program out of the Netherlands, out of Rotterdam specifically, and being kind of a Dutch company that we are, let's just say we're not really big on job titles. So I'm here for customer success, to get you all comfortable with Floor Planner as you're developing your technique, and learning some of the raw basics about how Floor Planner actually functions. I'm here for you all. A little bit about my background and my career path, because there's a lot of diversity as to whom you all are as users of Floor Planner. I'm a licensed architect here in the United States. I'm licensed down in Florida and also up in the state of New York, specialize in architectural interiors. I've done a lot of work utilizing other software programs during my career path until I found Floor Planner. As you all also found Floor Planner, Floor Planner gave me something I didn't have before, the ability to create modeling and rendering and presentations faster. My clients and the clients of the design teams that I've worked with, it was never fast enough. Everybody saw these really great images being created on interior design shows on TV. And they said, hey, why can't you do it as fast as what we see on television? Because that's not necessarily real. It takes time to create those models and such. But I also then found Floor Planner, and Floor Planner had this great marriage between CAD, computer-aided drafting, and the gaming environment. Kind of meshed the two together to give you a user-friendly platform that certainly can give you really, really fast results, as fast as our clients would like to see them for sure. Additional information is available to you beyond what we're talking about today. If you go to the floorplanner.com website, pull down menu at the very top, tons of information about Floor Planner, including the support tab right here in the center that has all of this additional information available to you, including a PDF document in the upper left-hand corner, which you can download. It's about 80 pages long. It's a great PDF document that we call an editor manual. It's a reference manual, nice to keep it handy while you're developing your technique in Floor Planner. There's one dedicated page in there specific that I'll make sure you have, that has the shortcuts and hotkeys for your keyboard. Very important to keep that handy as you're developing your technique. Always remember that Floor Planner is a platform that does keep evolving. So keep track and keep aware of the fact that there's new advances occurring every month. And they are actually sent out through Twitter, social media. So if you happen to tweet or Twitter, Floor Planner does have the ability to go ahead and post any of those new updates. As soon as they go live, they'll actually send out a tweet, or they're also listed on your homepage, on your dashboard. So depending on how you want to get that information, always be aware, again, Floor Planner does keep evolving. There are recordings on the YouTube channel for Floor Planner. And also we have our live webinars, of course. as you're in one right now. And then we have links to blog posts, inspirational images on Instagram and Pinterest, and including a contact tab in here for your technical questions. You can send messages straight away to the support team over in the Netherlands, and they'll get you a response back really fast. The 5 different flavors of webinars. There are 5 now. If you were used to there being only 4, we've added a new one. So they're all listed right here. And to register for these webinars, as you would for this webinar today, in your dashboard on your homepage inside Floor Planner, upper right-hand corner, there's this tab up here, which is a marquee that rotates about every 15 seconds, unveiling all 5 flavors of webinars. Now there's additional little radio buttons up there, so you can actually advance until you find the webinar that you want. There is the subscriptions webinar that is on Tuesday mornings, 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, USA, that talks about the 6 different dedicated subscriptions inside Floor Planner, the accounts that you could possibly be, and also the 4 different project levels when you work with your project, what those levels are and how they work. There's also an introduction and demonstration that's on Thursdays at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, USA, of course. The advanced tools, you found me, obviously. We're right here. This is 4 o'clock on Tuesday afternoons, Eastern Standard Time. There's also, I'm going to hop down here. There's a brand new webinar that we've just posted on Wednesdays now at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And this is to talk more about setting your cameras, setting your light levels, making really, really beautiful renderings, magazine type quality renderings. There's a great interest in that, and we thought we should share this with you for sure. So it's called Lights, Cameras, and Presentation. And again, that's on Wednesdays at 11 o'clock. And then there's a unique webinar. Until this point, they're all, of course, they're all free, but they're open for everybody to register multiple times if you care to. But this one dedicated, the 5th webinar up here, actually, it's the Advanced Features webinars on Thursday afternoons. That's a very specific webinar. Yes, it's also free, but it's dedicated just for the pro subscription holders up through enterprise accounts. So if you happen to be a basic or plus account currently with Floor Planner, this you will not be attending because we talk specifically about the pro account subscriptions through enterprise, the specific features that are available, more the branding, customization, templates, watermarks, etc. So that's one that has some limitations to it. All the others certainly open and free for everybody to register for. There's that same information when you send out to the contact information to the Netherlands. It's a very simple form. It's your name, your email address. You happen to have a website of your company, great. General topic of your question and the question. Just write your question in English or in Dutch, and you'll get a response back right away. The support team over in the Netherlands, as myself here in the United States, more of a training function for myself, support over in the Netherlands. We have direct lines of communication straight away to the programmers. So if there's something specific that we need to get certainly an answer for you quickly, and also put it in the hands of the person that's going to take care of the issue for us, I think you'll find that Floor Planner is extremely responsive. What does that editor manual look like that I mentioned as the PDF that you can download? That's a screenshot of its cover. And also here's a screenshot of my dashboard, my home page. Shouldn't look too different than yours. Upper left-hand corner, there's 4 squares up there. That's your profile icon, profile tab. When you select that, it'll tell you all about you, your actual account, or if you happen to be a sub-user of a company out there. And also when the profile tab is selected, you'll gain this right-hand sidebar. The right-hand sidebar in there starts in the upper right-hand corner, which is the marquee again that rotates for the registrations for the live webinars. And those new features that keep occurring monthly are also listed up here. So you're always aware of what's newest. The newest one will be posted at the very top. If you hit the more button up there, it'll actually take you to a link that cascades all of the advances that have occurred in the past year. And down here also a link to the Instagram site, inspirational images of others. Over 25 million users of Floor Planner around the world. It's kind of fun and curious to see what others are doing with the platform. Lower right-hand corner, the More On button will also take you to that same link that you had through support to the Floor Planner channel on YouTube for the recorded videos that are out there. We've just recently posted an updated 2023 intro and demo that's out there. Might want to take a peek if you need a refresher. Also, this large video button down here in the lower right-hand corner, kind of unique. It's something that I'm recording every month for you now to talk about the advances that occurred in the previous month. So they're listed by the programmers for sure. That's really great descriptive information to tell you what is new, but I'll show you how to use them. So I'll actually show in a no longer than 20-minute long video clip where I try to keep it small for you. I'll show you actually how to utilize these new features. When the profile tab is selected, top 2 rows in here are 2 rows worth of your projects, and bottom 2 rows in here are 2 rows worth of your exports. The 6 different subscription levels. Again, we talk about these more in detail Tuesday mornings, 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for our webinar on subscriptions. But Basic, Plus, and Pro are single one-person users to an account. Teams, Business, Enterprise accounts, these are groups of users within an individual account. A Teams account goes up to 10 users on an account. Business accounts go up to 100 users on the account. Enterprise accounts are unlimited users on the account. Unique feature of business and enterprise accounts out there is that they are the only 2 subscription levels currently that can contract with Floor Planner to either host a 3D model that's been built by others and put it inside the platform, or have Floor Planner with our modelers actually build another 3-dimensional object or asset and place it usable inside the platforms. Business enterprise accounts have a wonderful tendency to share their 3D models with the entire Floor Planner platform and all of us as users, as our community. Watch for all the brands that keep getting posted. These are retailers that are sharing their brand information, and we're now onboarding a lot of vendors and manufacturers. If you happen to be already an enterprise account as working with a corporation, you may, as a sub-user of your account, be limited. So you may only be seeing your own product because the others would, of course, be competitors. But otherwise, the rest of us out in the Floor Planner community have access to all, which is really great. More detailed information about this certainly during our subscriptions webinar on Tuesdays. And the different project levels. Don't forget that the SD Lite, as functioning with a basic or a plus account, has its limitations. When you start as working as a paid for project, which is from pro accounts up through enterprise, you'll be starting a project as an SD level with all the powers that are available to you in there. And again, we talk about this more in detail in our intro webinar and in our subscriptions webinar. But the differences between an SD, HD, 4K, and 8K really is resolution. The final image that you're creating, it's the pixel count, and you make your determination as to why you would need this level of intensity. The top 100 retailers that we've been working with have determined that probably the best presentation level for your clients for first wow impact with the image has been to elevate your renderings to the HD level for a superior image for your clients. And then when you need something, something for like a large 70-inch flat screen TV that you're actually making a presentation on, and you're zooming in on the details, something more like a 4K needed. And then when you need your marketing materials for publications and you need the most intense resolution and tight pixel count, talk about being an 8K rendering at that point. The differences between SD Lite and the SD HD 4K 8K is all explained every time that you open up a brand new project. And also notice again that if you start as a pro account up through enterprise accounts, you're starting your projects as an SD level. And you can always edit a project. So you can start a project at the lowest level and you can always upgrade it later. In the background, I have just a ghosted image of my desktop where my projects are stored. If you left click on any one of those projects, left-hand sidebar shows up. You can hit the edit details, get the edit details window. Existing project can be upgraded beyond its conception time. Also, you can make all kinds of other changes in there if you maybe misspelled your client's name, or you wanted to add an address later to it, or change a template if you're a pro accountant hire. You can make these modifications in here and go ahead and just make sure you hit the update project button down here, because you're always communicating to the cloud and you have to update that information. The differences between the SD, HD, 4K, 8K, again, they're all Blender renderings. They are all photorealistic. It is just simply the pixel count, just the resolution of the images that's different. Okay, let's get into live demo, much more fun. We're going to be talking about walls, ceilings, floors, doors, windows, and all the different features we can do with them, because you may not have explored all of the editor bubbles that are around these selections that you work with. We're going to try to showcase how to be a little bit more accurate in your backgrounds, your dimensioning, and then what can we do with those walls? We can split walls, we can curve walls, we can change the heights on the ends of the walls to actually start creating our slanted ceilings, and how those automated ceilings are being generated. And sometimes the ceilings are so complicated that we need to find a workaround for that to make them manually. Don't let the automated system take over, and you take more control and go ahead and make more of these custom shapes and slants and gables, etc. The value of zero thickness walls, they're invisible, but there's reasons why you'd like to divide out a space using those zero thickness walls. Paints, materials, moldings, trims, also all the ceilings, information that we're going to be working with, adding beams, crown molding, baseboards, etc. And again, the value of that zero thickness wall when you're actually working in a two-dimensional document. How can you show different materials, different square footage calculations, and zoning in those spaces? Doors and windows, materials that you can change with those. A little quick side note. Again, today's May 16th. There can be some more doors and windows being added to the floor planner library in the coming weeks, months. So keep your eyes open for those also. That's something that's under development currently. Excited to see some new doors and windows. And custom images on the walls. How do you upload those other additional images that maybe you have on your side, wallpapers, murals, clients, artwork? If you have a JPEG PNG image of anything, you can upload it into Floor Planner as a material and then just apply it to your wall surfaces accordingly. Also, we talk more about the 3D tours. We can take a moment with this real quick. If you do an application on top of a project, it's additional 5 credits. It's an option when you start a project or when you edit that project, like I showed you earlier, you can add what's called a 3D tour. 3D tour, 5 credits to be added to any one project. With a 3D tour, you're actually going to take your 3D model and you're going to request out into the cloud to get back not a JPEG, not a PNG image, not a PDF. You're going to get back a hyperlink. That hyperlink can be shared with your clients. You can send it by text. You can go ahead and send it in a Microsoft Word document. You can actually go ahead and embed it. You can embed it in a PowerPoint presentation, send it in an email if you care to. Get it to your client or the intended viewer, and as long as they're connected to the internet, either on their phone or on their iPad or on their computers, they can open that link and they will go into the cloud inside your model, not to change your model, but to just view it. And it is, most importantly, a real-time render experience, kind of that gaming environment. So they can tour around inside your model in not a cartoon view, but a truly real-time render. So they can look up, down, and tour your space. They can also, in a pull-down menu, see the dedicated camera views that you've already created, so they can go specifically to the way you wanted them to see your property. There's also a play button in there, so they can see a video 3D tour of your property as directed by you, how you wanted to tell that story. Based on the camera views you created and the order that you place those cameras, your story will play out. These links also open in Oculus goggles, virtual reality experiences. Oculus, now known as Meta Quest 2 cableless, wireless, pretty cool. To have that full experience and be totally immersed inside that entire environment that you created. Really great for additional buy-in with your clients. Plus it's fun. Beyond that, really like to open up these links on my phone because they look beautiful on your phone. The pull down menu, everything functions just as I described. It's very accessible. But you get an extra benefit on your phone. If you, on your phone, you get a VR button that shows up in the lower right-hand corner of your display. If you hit the VR button, it actually splits your phone into 2 circles, which is how you view 3D. And if you happen to be able to acquire cardboard boxes, Google makes these. So it's really cool. That little plastic lenses, little cardboard boxes that your phone actually fits inside. And all of a sudden, because your phone has geo-tracking in it, you get yourself a virtual reality experience. I throw these in the trunk of my car, keep them handy, take my phone with me, and if I ever need a mobile virtual reality experience, I can have that with me and share that with my clients for sure. So really, really, really cool offering. And I do like to just take the moment during this presentation to actually show you how that works. I've embedded a PowerPoint link up here, and sorry, I actually embedded this 3D tour in my PowerPoint presentation. There's actually the address up there. That's the location in our cloud base. So if I just go ahead and click on that, as would a client, I can just send that in text or in an email. You just click on, I'm looking over my shoulder, obviously here on my computer. And this is what comes up. This certainly would also open up on your phone, iPad, tablet, etc. Since I'm using a computer right now, I'm using a Windows-based PC, using mouse and keyboard. I can use my mouse to navigate. If it was on a tablet, I could use my finger. I could use a stylus, Apple Pencil, etc. I'm going to go ahead and, you're in a rendered image, yes, but you're actually inside the 3D model in the cloud right now. So I could click over here and just say, I want to teleport over to this point over here, turn around, look up, look down, start studying the space, understand the design, want to stand over here in the dining room, go across the way. And again, just studying every detail in this real-time render environment and start studying the space that you're sharing with your client. Now you can, and the client also, through the pull down up here, the multiple camera views as you chose to name them would be listed here, and they can go to the specific camera views as you've created them. And there's also the play button up here. So if you hit the play button, no hands, 3D tour based on the camera views you created, order that you placed them. Floor Planner does all the rest for you, creating all the animation, giving you an actual 3D tour without some monstrously massive video file that can't be transferred to anybody, because this is all online and cloud-based and totally accessible just through this link. I think you will find this a lot of fun. I think clients really get engaged with this, especially for the real-time render feature that it is. You can stop this just by selecting a button up here and get back to your control again. And again, this would open up in 3D virtual reality goggles, etc. And also, that story up here for the play button up here for that same 5 credits for this one project, you can create as many stories as you want. So if you change your cameras and change the order that you place them and then send this out to the cloud again to create another hyperlink, you can get back another hyperlink back to you and go ahead and plug that in as a different presentation, tell a different story. And you can do as many of these as you care to for that same one project. Okie dokie, let's take that down. Continue. And the quality of the renders, I mean, absolutely awesome. The Blender rendering engine that works with inside Floor Planner currently, extremely responsive now to the light levels. The photorealism is beautiful, but you can also, of course, turn your lights on and off and your lamps to have dimmer switches on them, set the mood inside the room, and even the sun, the radiance of that sunshine inside on this side of the glass and outside, beyond the glass, outdoors. That intensity can be increased or decreased based on the camera view. And because sometimes subjectively, you may be saying, Bob, it looks a little dark, it looks a little light. Based on your own opinion, you can tweak that a little bit. And you'll find out that after you make that adjustment to the light levels, I think you'll be super impressed. The realism just gets better and better every time you adjust it. Style boards. There's also style boards inside Floor Planner now. This came out in the past year. Presentation mood boards, a nice tool to have inside Floor Planner. It's a flat presentation. It's really not a 3D model like we're building inside Floor Planner. But as a mood board, you can drag your paint samples into here. You can drag your flooring samples into here. The furniture is really fascinating because unlike doing just a regular slideshow mood board presentation that you're limited to the image that you have of your furniture and that's all you get. We have the 3D models of the furniture. So if you're actually bringing a piece of furniture in, it's a nice perspective image of a dining room chair. It's like going, well, it looks really nice, but it's more impressive from the back for the detailing that's on the back of the chair. You can change the view inside Floor Planner for this mood board because it's the 3D model. We can see the back, we can see the front, we can see the top. You can modify that and change it on the fly. Very nice. The text and labeling in here can be turned off or turned on. You can add additional text into the document. You can upload your own JPEG PNG images for maybe an inspirational image, why you were putting this room together, what inspired you, maybe it was a picture of the ocean, the colors, etc. You can upload, they can upload an image of the floor plan, maybe even your renderings if you want to put your actual export images inside here. However you want to create this presentation mood board. Lots of options in there. It's a nice added benefit to your project for sure, different level of presentation. Floor scanner, if you're not aware of it already. How do you capture the actual measurements of a room? Tape measure, laser measure, yeah. Takes time. And there's a new technology out there. Floor Planner took advantage of what has become available through Apple, through their iPhones and their iPads, 12, 13, 14 versions, Pro phones and Pro iPads. What came out with the hardware, mine's a 13, is within the cameras up here is Apple added a LiDAR scanning device so that your phone turns into a scanner to collect data, dimensions, and allowed programmers to develop apps to utilize this, as did Floor Planner. So Floor Planner created the app called Floor Scanner. It's a free app. It only functions, of course, with those versions of the phone currently, although it's still under development. Functioning perfectly right now. There's a few different ways you can utilize the app for sure. One's a multiple room, single floor of a building that does require credits, takes a little bit longer to process, a couple days, but it's still very powerful to have that created as a project inside Floor Planner, already done. I like the single room for free. I like free, it's always a cool thing. But single room for free, you can do as many single rooms for free. It's a different technology, looking a little different than this process that works for the multiple rooms on the same floor. So I did a demo on this because I wanted to show you what it is. This is actually a live recording of my phone going into a bedroom. Didn't have to move the furniture, didn't have to change anything. Just kind of fun. It's real time. I did not edit this video. This is exactly as it happens. So if I hit play on my phone, the app would open up, linked to my Floor Planner account. I say single room for free, hit the start scanning button, and just take my phone and point the camera around the room. And it takes over. This is in real time. This is actually being created. You can see the 3D model being created live as I'm just pointing my phone around the room. It's understanding where the windows are. It's understanding where the floor is, where the doors are, ceiling heights, corners, etc. It's also making estimates even about the furniture as to where the furniture is in that room. not specific pieces, but certainly the placement thereof. So as you're seeing the 3D model created in the bottom, I did a little second pass on the room, didn't really have to. When you think you're done, you can hit the stop scanning button and you can actually twirl around the 3D model with your finger on your phone to say, did I capture everything? Does it look good? If it does, you can hit the looks great button. Or if you missed something, you can hit the rescan button. Mine looked great, hit that. Here's the magic of it. On my phone, it is opening my floor planner account and the model's done. It's waiting as a separate project inside my floor planner account, and I'm actually viewing it on my phone to say, wow, it's there. You can do this in wireframe, you can do it in the orbit view, you can dollhouse view, you can do it with the walkthrough inside there, 2D, 3D, all the above. It's a bedroom, capture the room, how cool. Additional technology of what you can do with this bedroom you captured. We can change the type of room that it is. It's a bedroom. So room types, we talked about these before. Room type, I could change the room type to another type of selection, maybe a home office. We're all doing that these days. Pick a home office, and in home office, it goes to room styles. Pick a collection of furniture you've already created for that type of room. And it will apply to that room. Hit the magic layout button on my phone. Based on algorithms, it placed that collection inside that room. It's no longer a bedroom, it's now a home office. It's all finished. I did this all on my phone in the time that we just saw that and in front of my client. This project, as I've recreated it, is waiting inside my floor planner account. So I can close out of my phone, go over to any device or computer, log into my floor planner account, and that project, as it looks right now, is waiting for me. I did go back and remeasure this location just to verify it's the architect to me, double check the dimensions on it. It was within a ½ inch, pretty good. I was very happy with that. If the ½ inch disturbs you, of course, you know you can edit this project. You can move the walls accordingly to the ½ inch and make it 100% accurate. And change out the furniture, change out your finishes. I think what's most important about this whole device and using Floor Scanner is the capture of the room. These other features are very nice and all, but the as-built measuring of a room, I think, with this new technology is going to just get better and better because I've done my as-built measures myself, going out on the site with my graph paper, my tape measure, my laser measure, and hopefully another person with me to write it down as I'm measuring it. It takes time. Being able to do this with a device instead, pretty awesome. And to actually build the model, so I don't even have to transfer the information, it's already built the floor planner model for us. So very, very cool. Let's actually go into our live demo at this point, which is our intention. I'm going to go ahead and reverse engineer a project. I'm going to actually take a project from something to nothing because I want to show you some tips and tricks along the way as I take it backwards. So I've got an existing project out here. I'm just going to go ahead and open it. Okay, got some furniture out there, nice plan view. Now, if I want to go ahead and take all the furniture out, take all the walls out, I'm going to show you something about a command on your keyboard and your mouse. I'm using a Windows PC currently, mouse and keyboard. If I left click and use my shift key on my keyboard at the same time and drag out what's a selection window over some furnishings, you will find that inside that window, this is my shift and my left mouse click, it's actually grouping those items temporarily, where I can left click and drag that grouping somewhere else in the room. Notice that it's snapping to the walls. If you ever want Snap to stop functioning for you, if you hold your S key on your keyboard, it'll turn off your Snap feature. And I'll just let go of my S key, Snap is back on. So you can move a grouping of furnishings depending on what you selected. You can also duplicate this grouping with the duplicate button here, or you can also delete a selection using this feature. A new feature that came out, or a new tool up here, while this is still selected, upper left-hand corner, you can see that you can actually change now the rotation of those items that are selected. So if I want to change them maybe to a 45-degree angle, as a grouping, I can change it and also move them accordingly. Of course, I can undo that and put them back. So the selection mode, using your shift and left mouse to make a selection window. If I take it over the entire composition, you would think it's going to pick everything. Well, it picks everything that's a piece of furniture or a fixture inside that room, trims, mechanical items, etc. So it's furniture and fixtures. But it did not pick the structure. If for some reason you wanted to pick the structure, you've got to get the furniture or end fixtures out of the way. You can either drag them out of the way now as being selected, you could delete them, but you can also turn them off. Upper right-hand corner, 2D settings tab up here. There is a setting in there for furniture, and it's a show furniture layer, turn it off, and show fixtures layer, turn it off. And with those both turned off, you can hold your shift key and your left mouse click. And what's going to happen this time, since there's no furniture or fixtures in there, it picks the structure, the walls, doors, windows, ceilings, etc. The features in there, you don't have the ability to rotate it to any specific angle, but you can rotate it 90 degrees with these edit bubbles over here. You can also duplicate it in the same design in the same project that you're working on currently. I think most importantly with the structure is that you can flip it. So if for some reason you need to flip it front to back, more importantly, left to right. So you might have a home or a condo or a townhouse that you have one all laid out and you're going, but it's the neighbor, it's the mirror image next door of it. You can actually flip it against the vertical axis. So really, really nice control for your structure so you didn't have to redraft the entire project. And you can, this is important, you can duplicate the structure inside this design of this project. Yes, you can duplicate the furniture based on the selection inside this design of this project. But what if you wanted to take it to another design in the same project, or take it to another floor, another multi-stories of the same project somewhere else, or even take it out of this project to another project, because you can only have one project open at a time. Interesting, kind of a copy paste thing. So what we're going to do, let's say we want to take the structure, it's a two-part process because you know you can only select one thing at a time. You can select the structure or you can select the furniture. So with those two, if you want to take the structure somewhere else, use your shift key and your left mouse click to highlight the entire structure. Edit bubbles are in there as we just discussed. Don't touch them. You're going to use your keyboard instead. It's selected right now. Ignore the edit bubbles and use your keyboard commands as Control-C, which is copy. And then we're going to take it somewhere else and do Control-V, which is paste. This is basic language in a computer, that a computer can retain the memory of something. You can do this with other documents also, but Floor Planner functions this way also. So if you hit Control-C at this point and then went somewhere else, we could go to another design in the same project. We could go to another floor in the same project. We could close this project, go to a brand new project, or open an existing project. And then when you're at that other destination, go ahead and hit your Control-V. Control-V is in Victor, and that's your paste command inside your computer language. Just do me one favor. When you paste it on the other side, Control-V, just use your mouse just to nudge it just a little bit. Whatever your selection is, while it's still grouped, just nudge it just a hair, any direction, just to anchor it in place. Very important because you might see it actually disappear on you if you do not anchor it into place. So really assure yourself that you just nudged it just a little and it is there with that Control-V feature. So you can copy paste from one to the other. And same thing, we could have gone ahead and selected just the furniture and taken a furniture collection from one project that worked really, really well for one client and you just wanted to take it over to another client. you have no trouble doing the copy paste from one to the other. My intention right now is to delete these items. So let's go ahead and go back into our settings, turn back on our layers of furniture and fixtures, use my shift command, select everything inside there and delete. And I'll do the same thing for the structure and delete it. And everything's gone. Hit my zoom extends button over there, make sure it's empty. Okay, deconstruct, we went backwards. How many floors do I have on this existing project? There's only one floor, so I don't need to delete any other floors. I could see what my designs tab is in the upper left-hand corner, how many designs I have running in this project. I only have one, and this is the one we're looking at. So fair to say we're empty. Let's make sure I didn't trace a background or anything. So let's go down to my hammer for construction. Go down to background settings, and sure enough, didn't trace any backgrounds for this project. So we're good and done. So we're going to build something from scratch and talk about being a little bit more accurate in our dimensions. So drawing a room is the easiest way to build a room from one corner to the other, all four walls, ceiling, and floor all at one time. So if I say draw a room, make sure you have your thickness of your walls identified. Interior partitions here in the United States, from about 3.5-inch stud wall, metal or wood, 5/8 inch gypsum board on either side, sandwiched together, roughly 5 inches in thickness is my preference. Your ceiling height, always remember that your wall height and your ceiling height are synonymous with each other for a flat ceiling. So your wall heights are always driving the automated ceiling. So if you've already created some different wall heights and you said, Bob, I've got these white triangles coming down from the ceiling and I don't know why. Yes, that's because those wall heights are trying to determine where your ceiling is. So there's ways around that. We're going to talk about that in a second, but let's talk about a flat ceiling for right now. Maybe 10-foot high walls will give us a 10-foot high flat ceiling. Raised from floor, yes, the walls are sitting on the ground at zero, elevation 0. With those settings done, here's your crosshair. Your crosshair is going to draft your wall from the middle of the wall, not the edges of the wall, like that crosshair. Little circle that's trailing around behind there has a diameter to it, which is the thickness we told the walls to be, which is 5 inches thick. Now, if I left click and start dragging out a area, a room, look in the lower left-hand corner. There's numbers down there, there's little blue numbers. The first number in there is your X direction horizontally, comma, space, Y direction, which is your vertical. Typical architectural language, you should see this when you see a blueprint or a plan or a marketing sheet. If it's done correctly, the first number should be your X direction, your horizontal, and the next one will be your Y. Well, if you're comfortable doing this with two hands, my right hand is holding my mouse still. I have not let go. My left hand is free. So technically I could type this in and say, if I wanted this to be a 20-foot by 20-foot room, I can type in 20 feet, comma, space, 20 feet and hit enter. 10-foot high ceiling, the room's completely built. X, Y direction. Undo that for a second. And let's do it again. Draw a room. And now if I didn't care so much about this down here, obviously there's the 5 inch thick, 10 feet high. It's also noted down here in the lower left-hand corner, but I can left click and just drag out a room of any size, which is what I typically showcase. And then don't forget that your interior dimensions, not your exterior dimensions. Interior dimensions can be selected and modified to force and change the locations of the walls. So if I wanted this also to be 20 feet by 20 feet, I can change out this numeric value over here to be 20 feet. And which wall do I want to move? I can take the wall at the top, push it up with the tab on the left, take the wall at the bottom, push it down with the tab on the right, or split the difference with the one in the middle. But I'll take this and push the wall over here upward with that tab. 20 feet. Take the dimension down here, need to be a little bit bigger also. So change it out to 20 feet and I'll move the wall on the right outward with this tab on the right. Again, an accurate background. Same result, two different ways to do it, whatever you're comfortable in doing. Let's undo that. And let's talk about drafting wall by wall by wall by wall. Maybe it's not just 4 walls. So if we go in here and go to settings, let's make sure we still have our 5 inches thick, 10 foot high. Yep. Left click. There is a slight snap inside Floor Planner. You can see that little blue line in there. It's just very faint, but you want to keep it nice and clean. Try to follow that orthogonal. And you're going to go ahead and actually draft just the shape of the room. So if I left click one point, go downward, go over, go down, different shaped room. And we're going to go ahead, and it knows where the home is up there at the top. You can see the other blue line, left click, and it wants you to close. Do not account for doors, windows, or openings. You need to close the entire circuit to get that brown interior, which means you have a floor and a ceiling. So always close out your volume. And with it being closed out, that's when you can go back and change out these dimensions to be your actual as-built dimensions. Maybe this is supposed to be 17 feet clear inside here. And I'll push this wall downward to make it so. And you can do the same. Now, these interior dimensions, as you get a more complicated plan and you have more rooms going on, you're not going to have every single dimension automated inside your system. So there's another way that you can be accurate and change the actual dimensions. So if we built like a closet in here, if I say draw a wall, and I just left click and just drag out a little closet, if you will. Great. There's a dimension up here. I want to make this 5 feet wide and 2 feet deep. I know I can change this to be 5 feet and move the walls accordingly, but how do I make it 2 feet deep? I don't have a dimension on the sides. You can actually select a wall, left click on it, and you can push a wall upward. See the line up there, or push it downward. And you can see the little numbers changing, which if you really want to keep trying to push this until it gets exactly to 2 feet, that's great. But there's another way. See that line with the 2 little blue arrows on it pushing upward? There's a number in the lower left-hand corner that's changing every time I move that wall. My left hand is still free. If I can hold onto my mouse with my right hand, my left hand's still free. I can type in 2 feet and hit enter. That's 2 feet deep. I could change the number up here, but I can also take a wall and push it. Left hand again, just type it in as 5 feet, enter. So you're in total control to go ahead and use these interior dimensions and also the push-pull mentality in there to make a more accurate background based on the dimensions that you've been given. Don't forget also, I'll use my shift command and select everything in there, delete it. Don't forget that you can certainly trace a background. So if we go over here to our hammer for construction, go down to background settings, choose a file, JPEG, PNG, or a PDF of a floor plan, wherever you may have gotten it from, your architect, your builder, from online, from a real estate agent's website, from the community that's being built down the street. Get yourself one of those images and put it on your device and then upload it to Floor Planner. So choose the file. I have one on my computer right here from a real estate agent I took from their website. There it is. Say open it. Mine happens to be a JPEG. Little circle goes twirling around and it drops itself inside your plan. All you need to do is make it real world scale. We are always building our model in real world scale, 1 to 1. 1 foot equals 1 foot. Very important. So this image we inserted doesn't have any intelligence to know what it's supposed to be. So you need to tell it. To do so, you just need to know the exact dimension from one point to a second point. So with those being known, if you had a dimension line, it would be from point to point, you know what it is. If you had an architectural scaling block on your document from one point to another, again, it would know what it is. I don't have either of them in this plan yet. It does tell me that this room from drywall surface to drywall surface is supposed to be 11 feet. So in that case, drywall to drywall, 2 points. So upper left-hand corner where it says set scale of floor plan image, select that button. It says, hey, click on the canvas to draw. Yay. What that means is it wants the 2 points. So if you just take your cursor over here and put it right on the drywall edge, left click 1 point, go across the way somewhat parallel if you can to the other drywall edge, left click, second point, 1 point, 2 points, and tell it what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be 11 feet, hit 11 feet, hit enter. Makes a giant big plan. Real world scale. I like to do this a second time for accuracy. Hit it again. Left click, and you'll notice as the image gets larger, the crosshairs get smaller and tighter and more refined. So it's a little bit more accurate. You can also, if you missed nailing that point, you can move it. You can drag it around and get it right on that drywall edge and tell it again, second time, 11 feet. I tweaked it just a little bit better. So I have a 1-to-1 real world scale, background. At this point, I'm pretty happy with this. Hit the back button up here. I think I'm good. Remember, you have your tape measure command down in the lower left-hand corner that you can always activate that and just proof, drag out little dimension lines, just to proof as a temporary tape measure. The neighboring rooms, the actual room you just did, just make sure the dimensions really are coming out as you expected them to. Sometimes you might get a marketing sheet from a graphics person that it's beautiful, but maybe they squished it in the X or Y direction to fit on the page and they didn't tell you that. So you want to always make sure you are comfortable that what background you're working with is absolutely proportionate correctly. This is a good plan. I'm happy with it. Scaled properly. Hit the back button or hit your escape key to get out of a command. And at that point, there's no reason why you couldn't just go right into furniture at this point and just start finding yourself a piece of furniture and drag and drop it right on top of this plan. You could print this as a two-dimensional document without even building the walls, floors, ceilings, and just do a 2D layout because it's all real world scale and you're all set. But we're going to take this to a different level now. And I'm pretty much done tracing, but I mean, you can also trace the walls, of course. I mean, you could go over the same exercise we just did and go for draw a room 5 inches thick and you're drafting from the middle of the wall. But if you can trace this as a guide, I mean, there's no reason why you can't do exactly what we did before, but now just use the guide to go ahead and just line up the walls, let go and say, oh, I missed it by 1 1/8 inch. Well, change that to be exactly 11 feet. Which wall do you want to move? I'm not sure. Let's split the difference. Well, that's exactly 11 feet. And the advantage of tracing a background is because you can see where the angles are, or if you even have a curved wall for any reason, nice to have a guide to follow. So if you can trace a background, we could just start drafting additional walls and just start tracing out. Draw a wall, snap over here, left click, and just start tracing. And this is where it gets fun because, there's that angle. Well, I didn't have to worry about what that angle was. I can just trace it out, finish this down, go across the way. There's a nice snap inside there. I'm keeping it nice and orthogonal. Follow, crossover, reconnect. And every time you connect, it's making a breakpoint. So we can just select this volume over here and delete it. And take this point and grab its end and drag it down. There's a little wing wall going on there. So yeah, totally cool. And again, maybe if you had a curved wall that maybe this showed in plan a curve underneath here, you can select a wall and you can actually take the curve command up here in the edit bubbles. And you can curve a wall outward. Pull it from the center, it'll be nice and clean, or you can make it a kind of a Frank Gehry architecture, strange little guy, bended this way, that way. So it's good if you have a guide, like I said, something you're tracing, because there is no way to set a diameter for these walls or an angle for those walls. So tracing a background is going to come in handy for you. But again, just extends the space accordingly. And again, use my shift key, select that volume, delete it. And I'm done with the background for right now. So I'm going to go to background settings, and I could actually go to the settings of background settings and hit the tab up here for hidden or visible. You can also change the draw order up here like you can in PowerPoint. But you can also go ahead and use the B key on your keyboard. B as in background turns it off, and B as in background turns it back on. So we could go back and forth. Okay, I want to show you more. We want to talk about doing something more than just a flat ceiling. So let's go ahead and draw that 20 foot by 20 foot room again. Say draw a room, 5 inches thick, 10 feet high, left click, drag out a box and type it in its 20 feet, comma, space, 20 feet, enter. Okay, zoom extends. Now, I want to make a cathedral ceiling. Simple, one ridge line, one pitch, straight across the room at the halfway mark. So there's a 20-foot wall and a 20-foot wall. So I want to split this wall into 2 pieces. So if I put my little finger over there, anywhere, my cursor, and left click anywhere, there's edit bubbles, there's that curve feature again, delete again, add a new wall, but there's a split command. If I hit the split command, it will split the wall where my finger was, 1 piece, 2 pieces. There is the split mark. You can take that dot and left click and drag it and move the split And if you drag it slowly, it will snap to the center. There's the center. You can see it visually, numerically, 10 feet, 10 feet, let go. Go across the way, do the exact same thing. Put your finger up there, split. One piece, two pieces, grab the split mark, drag it down, let it find center, 10 feet, 10 feet, let go. Okay, everything's still 10 feet high. I'm gonna take it up to 14 feet to make this ridge, which is gonna change the walls. So if I go ahead, the tops of the walls, select that dot as the split mark, wall 1 at that point and wall 2 at that point. Numbers up here in the upper left-hand corner, there's wall 1, wall 2, and the first number. If I change the first number to 14 feet, hit enter, it changes both. So wall 1 is 14 feet, wall 2 is 14 point at that one point, which is making the point, the ridge. Go across the way. If I select this point, I'm going to do this backwards because sometimes you have multiple walls hitting at the same point and you're like going, it's not working as nice just changing the first number anymore. You can do it backwards. You can change the individual walls. So if I change this one wall over here, wall 1 at that point as 14 feet, and then change this other one over here to 14 feet also, wall 2, and to enter, it changed everything. So you can do it backwards also. So what we have created now in 3D is, zoom extents, the changed heights on the tops of our walls. We're actually slanting the tops of the walls. Well, that's great. Remember I said the walls are driving the automated ceiling structure. So there it is. Oops. It doesn't know where the ridge line is. It's trying to connect the ceiling from here to here, and from there to there. So if you've ever seen this happen with your plans, that's why. So we're going to resolve this issue by putting a wall in here at 14 feet high to resolve the issue. So if we go into 2D and put a wall across the way, remember the wall settings over here are set to a 10-foot high wall. I don't have to change that to 14 feet, although I want it as 14 feet. If I draw a wall from this point, which we know is actually 14 feet high at that point, Floor Planner will acquire the height at that point. So if I left click and drag across the way, which you would think is going to be a 10-foot high wall, left click and let go. If I select that wall and go to its settings, notice that the wall is actually 14 feet high because it's from the point you start at. So if you needed to do a closet down here with an open floor plan and you couldn't figure out, it's 10 feet here, it's 14 feet here, but how high is it here or here or here? Yeah, a lot of geometry. Don't have to worry about it. Just drag in from the outside wall and it will acquire the height. Okay, this has now fixed my ceiling and I have a wall in the middle of my room. Didn't want to do that. You can select the wall, go to the settings of that wall, and we can make it invisible. It's still there, but we'll call it 0 thickness. And go back to 3D. And let's twirl around. Looking good, nice and clean, straight across the ridge line. Hit the walking man to go inside. Yep, it's exactly what we wanted to do, except that invisible wall is splitting your wall into 2 different surfaces. So you're going to apply the material twice. It's also going to be the same thing on your floor. It's going to be having to apply the flooring material twice, which you can do. But maybe you're doing the square footage calculations and you're letting Floor Planner calculate the square footage for your 2-dimensional document. Sorry, you can't combine the 2 areas. It's split. It's going to be this square footage and that square footage. So that's bad. I don't like that. There's another way to do this, which will also give you more control if you're trying to do specific roof lines that are complicated and gables intersecting, etc. So let's give you more control. I'm going to go back to 2D. I'm going to find that wall just by just dragging across it and hit delete. Okay, I deleted that 14-foot high wall, which was our ridge line. Since it's gone now, the ceiling is all messed up again. So since I have a bad ceiling, I want to get rid of it. So if you left click inside your room, you get the left-hand sidebar. Left-hand sidebar, you can go to the settings of that room, that area, and there's a tab up there for automation for the generation of the ceiling. It's a bad ceiling, so we're going to turn it off. Now there is no ceiling at all, and you're looking up at blue sky. That's it. So we're going to make it manually. To make it manually, if you haven't done surfaces before, here's a great lesson on surfaces. Surfaces are typically and have always been intentional to make a flat, planar surface on the ground at zero thickness, just thick enough to put a material on top of it, usually for grass or pavers or driveways, flat surfaces on the ground. We've advanced surfaces in the past couple of years, and now there's a lot more we can do with them. So this will be actually your go-to command for sure, for many reasons. But draw a surface. We're going to trace out and make a manual ceiling and tilt it manually. So let's hit draw surface, and we're going to trace out the surface for the ceiling or roof. So it is snapping. I'm left clicking on that corner as one point. There's my line to the second point, other corner. And when you see the third point to that midpoint, you start seeing the surface being created, and we're going to finish it out across the way. And there's my last point. It's still in the middle of the surface command. You can see it still wants to keep building itself. If you hit escape, it will stop that function. Okay, now the surface, by clicking on it, go to its settings, you can see that it's sitting on the ground at 0. But I want to lift it above my head and tilt it. So I want to get it at least 10 feet above my head. So if I go to raise from floor for the surface, I'll raise it from the floor 10 feet, hit enter, and it's now above my head. But now I want to tilt it. So these two last points down here that should be at 14 feet, I can select the point and change it from 10 feet now to 14 feet, hit enter. Go across the way, select it, select that other point, change it also to 14 feet, hit enter, and go to 3D and twirl around, hit our zoom extents button over there. Dun, 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 dun. Perfect, manually made, not automated. Perfectly in alignment, looks great. You can copy, duplicate, rotate, or just trace out the other side if you cared to. But flat surface is paper thin, right? So the cool thing about surfaces is they take materials. So if I go over to my material library and look for outdoor materials, I could look at the roofing materials, find ourselves Spanish tile roof, left click, drag and drop, and put a material on that surface. And if I go into 3D, take a peek at what we built, zoom extents, twirl around, and that's awesome. It's going to render beautiful. This is a preview image. It's going to look great, except we can do better. It's paper thin right now. It's still nice. But if you select a surface, surfaces can also be extruded to give them thickness. So if I go to that surface, go to its settings, I can give it a thickness like a Spanish tile roof would be, maybe 5 inches in thickness, or extrude it 5 inches, hit enter, go back into 3D, zoom extents, twirl around. Oh yes, looking much more realistic. Even as a preview image, the thickness is making a difference. When you render this, it's going to look awesome. This is a roof or a ceiling, an angle, any bridge line. Yeah, you're in total power. It's not that hard, but surfaces make it very friendly instead of using the automated system. Surfaces are also really cool to go ahead and create patios or countertops or floating shelves or a fire pit in your backyard that has to be stone 2 feet high and circular, rounded edges. So if we go to hammer and go down, maybe make a patio. So if we go draw surfaces and just left click a point, another point, and just start building ourselves out, maybe some sort of patio out here. Okay, patio. Sitting on the ground, which is where we want the patio to be. And we could change the shape on this. So maybe we wanted to come around the corner over here. Well, you only have 4 points around this area. Maybe I want to extend this. Well, I can grab these points and move them, these little grips, but that's all I can do. You can add more grips by putting your little hand over top of the same line and left clicking, and you get a new grip. So I can take that new grip and maybe move it down here. and put a new grip over here and drag it out here. So you're free to change these shapes by adding additional grips. Also, if you want to curve something, these white dots that are in between each grip are actually curve points. So I can grab that point and curve this out. If you're doing this to make a countertop on an island in a kitchen or something, and then you're going to give it thickness and you're going to raise it from the floor to give it to it on the height, make sure you trace the actual plan view first before you start doing all those additional gyrations of elevating it and giving it thickness. Otherwise, it may not perform the way you like it to be. So get your plan view perfect first, as we just did. And if this is a patio, we can put a tile pattern out there, a brick pattern. Got anything out there in bricks? I'll take a brick, left click and drag it. And to make this even more realistic, certainly go to its settings and give it some thickness, maybe make it 2 inches in height to give it some thickness, so that when maybe trace out some grass outside too, do the same thing. But notice that there's this nice little thickness that gives you a bit more realism about it. So surfaces truly our new best friend. Go select the surface and delete it. Select the surface and delete it. And I want to get this back down to being a 20 foot by 20 foot flat ceiling. So if I select this dot over here, 14 feet, I should be able to delete it. Oops, didn't work. Sometimes it does. But I'll grab that point and just drag it down and connect it back to the wall down there. And there's my 20 foot wall again. Grab this point again. And I'll change it down to 10 feet. I think I'm going to have some things really messed up with my ceiling heights here, but let's see what happens. Grab that point and drag it down. I just had this bad feeling I've got some 14-foot high walls in here. Let's take a peek. 3D. Oh yeah, that's a mess. Not good. Now we should be able to left click and do my selection window, right? And left-hand side, change all the wall heights to 10 feet. See if this changes our corners or not. Hit enter and see what we got. Perfect. So if you ever drafted your wall heights differently, you can use that same shift command and just change all of the wall heights all at one given time. Okay, so let's left click inside this room and go ahead as a 10-foot high ceiling, go to its settings and put our automated ceiling back in as a flat ceiling. What about tray ceilings? You know, the architecture of a tray ceiling. Certainly we could do the surfaces again, go to the hammer and let's pick ourselves draw surface. And left click in the corner, 1 point, 2nd point. Let's just go all the way around the room. Okay, surface sitting on the ground. Select that surface, go to its settings. Let's raise from floor. It's a 10-foot high ceiling. We're going to raise this tray to be 8 feet from the ground and hit enter. And we need to cut the hole out. So select that biome, put my hand over here, make another point, make another point, another point, make another point. Okay, I'll start dragging these points out to start making what will be my tray ceiling. Kind of like playing 3-dimensional chess. And another point here. And let's move them over here. Another point here. Take that down there. And last point. Okay, we're just tracing this out. I can left click that biome as a surface, go to its settings, give it some thickness, 2 feet to finish out that 10-foot high ceiling, and go into our 3D. Hole in the middle, go into our room with the walking man. Looking up, it was nothing but a surface created in its size, raised from floor to be 8 feet instead of 10 feet, gave it 2 feet in thickness to finish out to the 10-foot. This is the actual ceiling of this room at 10 feet, but this is the applied surface that we use to create the tray ceiling. You can apply materials to this. You could paint this differently. You can also select the room up here that has a brilliant white ceiling and change the brilliant white ceiling to also another color or material. You can make it wood plank if you wanted to. So you can put two different materials in there, no problem. Surfaces, definitely our friend for custom work. Delete that for a second. Okay, let's also talk again about the room. The room has no identity on it, doesn't know what it is yet. So if I left click on the room, go to the room type settings over on the left-hand side, it says unnamed, doesn't know what it is. So if you select the room type, what kind of room type am I? Am I a dining room? Am I a living room, a kitchen? This is that color blocking system. Living room, I am a living room, great. If I want to show the square footage of that living room, I can select that, go to its settings. There's a button up there also for showing me the square footage. I could also see the linear running feet around the room in the upper right-hand corner by 2D settings in the dimensions tab. There's a button in there that says show interior dimensions. Turn that toggle switch on, running feet around the room. Now, I want to have this as an open floor plan between a living room and a dining room. Two separate rooms, open floor plan, no wall in between them. So if I use a wall, kind of crazy, draw a wall and drag out a wall, making a dining room and a living room, two separate rooms. Okay, now hit escape, stop that process. Then two living rooms. No, I want a living room, dining room. So if I left click on this room over here, I could go to its room type and change it out to, oh, not a room, excuse me, room type, and change it out to be a dining room. Okay, open floor plan between the two, zero thickness wall. Hey, we did them before. Select that wall, make it invisible by going to its settings and changing its thickness to 0. Great. Okay, all the square footage, separation, different room types, great. Let's say we're done with the dimensions at this point. So let's select this room. Let's go to its settings, turn off the dimensions of the area, select this room, do the same thing, go to settings, turn off the area, and 2D settings, upper right-hand corner, get rid of these interior dimensions, turn those off. Okay. How about materials? Go to the material library and let's go ahead and put in some wood in our living room. And I have a favorite wood, so Nordic is one of my favorites because it's nice ash colored. And take this plank floor, left click, drag and drop. Okay, we got a flooring material. Let's get some carpet in the dining room. Terrible thing to do in a dining room, but I'm doing it anyway. So we'll take this dining room carpet. Ooh, that's pretty. Take this one, drag and drop. And there we go. Okay, cool. Now, what about this material? I want the planks to go the other way, or they're too thick, or they're too thin, not long enough. I can select this room, and on the left-hand side, there's the material again. Go to the material. The material has settings. If you go to this material settings of that wood, you can change the rotation to any angle. I'll change it 90 degrees, so it changes the other direction. Good. Horizontal scale is the length of the planks. And the vertical scale is the thickness of the planks. I can make them thicker, thinner, longer, shorter. Now, being designers that we are, which plank starts on which edge of the room? Great for tile patterns when you're doing bathrooms, kitchen tile, and you're trying to get the tiles laid out so certain pieces show on the edges of the walls. Horizontal offset and vertical offset. You can start moving this image that's been resized to determine which plank starts on which edge of the wall. So you can do everything but change the color, sorry. So find the right material. If I select this carpeting, I could do the same thing with this carpet material over here. I could change the vertical or the horizontal percentages, which will make it a tighter weave looking more commercial, or a broader weave looking more residential. So with those materials inside there, we're starting to make two separate rooms. Cool. Now, go into 3D and you can see that, yes, in fact, there is no wall in between the two. Now, let's go ahead and talk about paint for a second. So if we go to paint, and here's the paint companies, Dulux European Paint Company, we can go to Benjamin Moore, we can go to Benjamin Moore's Collections, etc. But you can also Google search any paint company and ask for the paint color from the fan deck of that company, even if it's not listed here, and ask Google for the hex number, HEX, and you can go ahead and enter that numeric value up here, and Floor Planner will custom mix the paint for you. And you can also even favorite custom mix paints inside your private collection by, let's just pick a color in here. This blue paint up here. That eye up there in the upper right hand corner would be the same for a custom mix paint, would also be here. If that eye up there, and you can say add to my favorites. And now if I want to use that paint color again and for a future project, maybe it's a builder standard paint color, Navajo white, or certain things that builder standards use, you will have them in your library. If you go to the star up there in the upper left-hand corner, this is your library of yours, these are mine, custom mixed paints or saved paints. There it is, the one we just had, Winter's Eve. And you can actually drag the paint right from there. Hover over the wall, outside or inside, which surface do you want to paint, fill that white dot with the color, and paints a wall. If I held my shift key while I'm dragging the paint over to the wall and painting one wall with my shift key depressed, it will paint the entire room. Okay, so we got a painted wall. Let's talk about putting some trim on that wall. Go over to our furniture tab, which is of course all of our three-dimensional assets, and start looking for something like, not furniture. Let's look for, well, we can type in the word baseboard here in English, as it's synonymous with the actual word in the European term, which is called skirting. So let's look for skirting boards. Let's get used to the term. Skirting boards, they're baseboards, but they're called skirting boards in Europe. So there it is, left click, drag, and drop. It's this teeny little guy right there. Oh, right there, it's really there. There it is. Go to the settings of that little baseboard skirting board, give it some height so we can see it, something for a 10-foot high ceiling, make it 8 inches high. We could change its width to 20 feet, but we can also hit the free scale button and stretch it. And stretch this baseboard all the way down. Notice that I can't see the other side of the room. If I use a shortcut hotkey, my space bar will move temporarily when I'm in the middle of a command. I'm using my space bar and my left mouse just dragging, and I'm still in the middle of the command. Space bar, space bar. There we go. And I'm almost there. Okay, a little bit more. There we go. So we got our baseboard stretched out across the room. There's also some other trims in here. There's picture rail, which is fun. Architectural trims, sometimes a little bit more traditional. We can drag and drop this and apply that to the wall surface. We can select those volumes. And also, we can go to their settings and change their dimensions accordingly. You can also, we already did the tray ceiling in here, so we know we can do different ceiling drops in there if you need to do something architectural. If I want to go inside this room, I can hit the 3D, go to my walking man, use my arrow keys to arrow back, position myself, and the beauty of being in a 3D model is that you can now select items in 3D and you can move them. I can move it with the arrows also orthogonally down the wall. I'm not going to rotate it because it's actually adhered to the wall, but you also have these commands over here where I can copy and go ahead. You can do a lot of design work while you're in 3D and continue this work. Maybe those dimensions aren't correct. We can go to the settings over here and we can modify the dimensions accordingly. I want to show you a trick. There's a tilt command out there also. So let's find a piece of furniture for a second. Let's look for a sofa. And drag ourselves sofa inside here. And let's put a pillow on top of it. Pillow. And a green pillow on top. Snaps on top. Of course, we can take our pillows and we can rotate them and stack them on top of each other. Great. But you also have a tilt command. If you go into 3D, go inside a room and position our camera over here so we can see what we're doing. You can select items in 3D like pillows, which is actually why we put tilt in there, although you can use it for other items, and go to its settings over here. And inside settings, you're going to see there's a tilt command. So not only can you rotate it and overlap them, but you can actually tilt pillows also, make them look a little bit more casual and more realistic, and changing that angle to different degrees. Very, very powerful. But this works great if you have a giant oversized mirror and you want to lean it up against the wall, or you have beams that have to go up to your ceiling and you have to have them at certain angles. You can go ahead and make these modifications also using tilt. Personally, when I do all my decor and put the accessories on shelf units, I like to, especially plates and things in the kitchen that look too regimented, I like to give them a little crank so they look a little bit more haphazard, so more casual, more realism sets in. So play with your tilt feature for sure, really, really valuable. Let's go into 2D for a second and just show you another feature. And let's put in here maybe a beam, like a ceiling beam out there, and something dark so we can see it. So if we start doing ceiling work in here and start putting in beams, and beams will snap to the ceiling, by the way, they'll find the ceiling height in there. Or you have recessed can lights or chandeliers, and okay, all this peripheral stuff in your ceiling gets in the way of your furniture plan. Do I have to turn it off when I want my furniture plan? No, you can actually cut through at a lower level what your furniture plan should look like and leave all that peripheral stuff up in the ceiling. So to do so, it's a setting in your 2D settings. 2D settings, there's a setting inside there says general settings. It is hide all above a certain mark. So say hide all above 4 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet. Beams are above your head. So I could change this into, my wireframe drawing or my materials, send it out as my 2-dimensional furniture plan. So all that peripheral stuff you have in your ceiling, don't have to worry about it. So we can turn that back off. There's those items again. I'm going to select these and just delete them. Cool. Let's put a door inside there. Let's go for our doors, hammer, placing doors. And maybe a French door, drag it down here, and maybe an opening. There's an opening down here also. This is an entryway. It's a door without a door. Has a threshold on it. You can drag this over here and maybe put an opening over here also. So you can also resize these and go to its settings and maybe make a little header at the top. If it's 10-foot high ceiling, make the opening 9 feet high instead, and change the widths, etc. But doors and openings like this have the ability to change materials. Here's the frame color of the door, make it blue. Here is the door color itself. Of course, there's glass in there, but we'll make the door, red. And there is the threshold at the bottom of the door that you can even change, and we'll make it yellow. Okay. So we've colorized that. You can also go over here to this threshold, which this opening, which also has a threshold on it. And you can change that white down there at the bottom. So there's the opening outside, right? But there's also a threshold across the bottom that's always white, but you can now change that to select the opening, that's entryway, and you can go down to the threshold of that doorway opening, and you can say, yeah, there's paints in there, but you can also go to materials. So I could go to woods, and I could go to Nordic, right? Nordic. And there's the Nordic, and we'll select that. So if I go back into 3D, you've actually added that as your threshold color, making it a little bit more realistic. Wanted to go ahead and show you how to do a custom material on the wall and then a staircase, and then double stack this to be a 2-story. So let's take a moment. Let's add a material custom to this wall. You have your materials, your wallpapers, your paints that you can drag and drop, just like we did the paint sample earlier. But if you want a custom material, a JPEG PNG image that you have from your own library, client's piece of artwork, actual material, wallpaper, mural, photograph of wainscoting, architectural trim. Yeah, you can insert anything to a wall surface. So if I left click on the wall itself, there's two sides to the wall. There's side one and side two. Side one typically is the inside of the room. Side two is typically the outside of the room. Side one, side two. And side two looks wider because it's adding the thickness of the wall outside. Side one, I want to see the front view of that wall, front view, straight on elevation of that wall. This is where you're going to upload your own custom JPEG PNG image to apply to the wall. These are mine. They will stay in there until you delete them. There's trash cans if you ever want to get rid of anything. I have a tendency to keep a lot. You can also go to regular colors and materials, just like you could in 2D normally, but we'll go for uploads. This is the custom work. Choose the file, the JPEG or PNG, and it will be added to your collection. Then you select it from here and it applies it to the wall. I've already uploaded in the past a wallpaper sample. There it is. From Seabrook Wall Coverings. It was digital. It was on their website. I wanted this wallpaper. It's not in our collection in Floor Planner, so I went ahead and uploaded it to my collection. Okay. When you pick a wallpaper, if you're talking wallpaper, you want to try to always get what's called a seamless sample, meaning the left edge matches the right and the bottom edge matches the top. So when it repeats, it is a continuous pattern and it looks perfect. Also, if the vendor would be kind enough to tell you what size that sample represents in real world scale, Floor Planner can take that information and make it exactly perfect. Now, not everybody has a seamless sample. So if you can at least get the entire pattern repeat, which makes sense, and then you can see yourself where it starts and where it stops. Even on your phone, you can crop an image accordingly, and you've created your own seamless sample. Dimensions, make sure that you have some sort of guideline to figure what the actual size of the sample would be. This is a seamless sample from Seabrook, and Seabrook did tell me what the dimensions were in real world. So I'm going to apply it to the wall by selecting it. It has a 10-foot high ceiling and it filled the entire wall. Not what I wanted it to do. It filled. Yes, great. Pull down menu. I can change that to free instead of fill. Free lets you take the points on the corners so you can change its dimensions and put it into place. But I do know the dimensions of the sample. They told me it's 2 feet wide and 2 feet high. 2 feet by 2 feet. And if I want to repeat it across the room, I can repeat it horizontally like a chair wheel, vertically like a column, or both directions, make it like wallpaper. Pull down menu from free, vertically, horizontally, or both. Tileize it in both directions. Perfectly scaled, seamless sample, looks great. You can do this without a seamless sample, but where the irregularities are, where they don't quite match up on their edges, it will look a little gritty and boxy. Seamless will always give you a better result. So with this being complete, I'm there. When this image looks absolutely correct and you're happy with it, kind of counterintuitive, there's no done button, there's no accept button, there's no I love it button, there's no button. Counterintuitive. You're actually going to close the window to accept it. So it looks good, close the window. Wall is still selected. There's the sample up there showing you the preview of it. Go back into 3D, see what we created. And there it is. Remember, we split the wall. So yeah, it's got to apply things twice because we have that separation of a 0 thickness wall. But perfect, absolutely wonderful. So let's talk about multi-story projects. Multiple floors. A SD level project, you can build up to a 7-story project, 7 floors. There is the ability with this crosshair up here, which is called an origin point. That crosshair origin point is the exact same reference point vertically above and below itself on all floors. So if you're trying to line up a corner of a room so they all match up vertically, it's doable. I have another trick for this. I think it's a little bit more accurate because you can't really snap to that point. You can get very close, but not quite. I would prefer to draft my entire first floor first, and then duplicate the first floor to be the second floor. When you duplicate a floor, it's exactly aligned vertically above and below itself. So in drafting your first floor, you'll have your load-bearing walls and your structural columns already in place. Duplicate it, it's perfectly matched up to the floor above. And then if for some reason it's a different configuration of partition walls and such upstairs, delete the downstairs partitions on the second floor and create your other partitions. But don't move the load-bearing wall that you copied or the load-bearing columns. Use those as your reference to make sure everything stays aligned. So to do so, I want to put a staircase in here because I'm actually going to duplicate the staircase because I want to do a little cutout in the floor up above to look downward. So I want to know where that should be. So I'm going to duplicate the stair at the same time. I only need one staircase, but I want to duplicate it so I know where it's placed. If I go to my piece of furniture over there, which is all my 3D assets, and look for stairs, I get staircases, and there's many of them out there. I do know there's a 10-foot high staircase out there. I've seen it before. There it is. 10 feet, drag and drop. And we'll just put it in there so it has a little landing on the downstairs, landing on where it's going to land upstairs, and let go. Okay, staircase is in place. I think I've got it oriented the right direction. Yep, okay. Let's go into 2D, and at this point, I'm going to duplicate this so it's directly above. So this is the first floor. Upper left-hand corner, first floor is right there. Pull down menu, there is first floor. There's a gear up there. These are your settings of the first floor, gears. So hit the gear, and inside the settings of the first floor, there's a duplicate button. I'm going to duplicate the first floor, select that button. And we've made the copy. You're looking at it actually right now, and it's called first floor copy. That's going to confuse me. So I'm going to sweep over top the name of that and call it second floor, a little bit more simplistic for me. Hit enter, second floor. You now have 2 floors. Great. I mean, maybe on this floor, I want to move this furniture somewhere else. I can select this grouping and move it down here and even rotate it, right? Rotated 180. Cool. Okay, so now we have a difference between the 2 floors. So that's my second floor. And remember, here's my first floor. Different layout, right? So let's go back to my second floor and let's cut out the floor where the staircase is and then delete the staircase that I don't need upstairs anymore. So it's surfaces again. Go to your hammer, go to placing surfaces, draw surface. Go left click and make an opening. Left click 1 point, second point. No, you don't have to make the opening all the way down, but overward and close it out. Hit escape to end that function. I don't need the staircase anymore on the second floor, so I'm going to delete it. And there's what's going to be my hole in the floor. Remember, it's sitting on the ground. It's on the ground of the second floor, but I want to change its settings to be a cutout. So if I select it and go to the settings of this surface, it's sitting on the ground, and there's an option there for cutout. So add the setting of cutout to that surface. It's nothing but a hole in my floor. If I go to 3D in the upper right-hand corner, hole in the floor, great, okay, super, and a hole in the wall with a threshold. Okay, now I want to see the floor below it. So since I'm on the upper floor, it's in the settings tab, 3D settings. 3D settings, see show floors below this floor. And you have the 2 floors and the hole in the floor looking downward at the staircase looking downstairs. Now you have powers in here that we can twirl around, kind of fun. Remember, there's the cutaway walls command. So if I go to 3D settings, cutaway walls will turn off the exterior walls between your camera and the target point that you're looking at on both floors. And you see the different furniture layout. So yes, we can twirl around inside that space and see what's going on. However you want to make the presentation, hit a camera plus sign up here, render this, make this part of your presentation, however you're trying to describe it. We can turn the cutaway walls back off, settings, cutaway walls, turn it back off. And you have another feature in there with that show floors below. which is fun. 3D settings, there's a slide bar now underneath there that will allow you to explode and separate the two floors if you're trying to explain something differently. Of course, we could even go in there and go back to the cutaway walls and add that also. So what is it you're trying to convey about this design? You have a lot of different ways you can showcase that. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the show floors below. Let's turn off the cutaway walls. And at that point, I think we're going to wrap this up with our PowerPoint presentation. And I'm a little long-winded today. Sorry, I'm just oversharing tons of information. Got some images on our way out to close out this particular session. Just reminders, talking points for me is that your three-dimensional assets, your 180,000 plus assets that you can change the dimensions on, and the brands that you're getting from the retailers and also that are available to you now through the vendors and manufacturers. These assets all play very nice, these objects play very nice with each other. They can touch, they can converge. You can build certain other items to create something new by putting different components together. Again, don't be afraid of them. They do play nicely. They can touch, they can overlap. In other programs and software, I've found that if two assets get too close to each other or touch each other, they make a black screen of death and there's no rendering. Floor Planner does not have that problem. You'll have a lot of fun putting items together from different collections. Use your imagination as to what you need to create. We talked about multiple designs. Multiple designs comes in really handy, even just for camera views. You know, multiple designs, different layouts to show your client different options. Yes, but even just for a camera view, maybe there's something you don't want to show in a camera view, like a dining room table, an area rug, a chandelier is in the way for this image. I made a duplicate of the design in the same project and went ahead and turned all those off or deleted them completely. And that way I got them out of the picture. It did not corrupt my original because this is nothing but a copy of the original design. Also, setting field of view settings for your camera. Field of view settings, when you want to make things look nice and clean and linear vertical, versus a wide angle fisheye lens, you want to get that field of view small, which makes everything very clean. But as you do so, it pushes your camera forward. So to capture more of the room, you're always trying to physically move your camera backward while keeping your field of view small. When you do so, you're going to slam into the wall behind you very fast, beyond the wall, and then you can't see the room anymore. So if you make a duplicate of your design, get the field of view very small, keep things nice and linear, like those bar stools, keep them nice and vertical so they're not splaying out at all. And then I need to move my camera backwards to capture more of the room. As a duplicate of my original design and plan, I can stretch my wall behind me way backwards. I moved that wall in this image 50 feet backwards to place my camera in a specific place with the field of view very small to keep everything nice and linear, but capture the room. That way, you can't see that I've done that because the wall is behind me. You don't know that I've actually stretched the whole room out, but it's a duplicate. So I didn't corrupt my original design. I did it just for the camera view, even named the design the camera view. So I would know how to go back to it again. But this gives you those magazine quality images that don't look distorted, but you're actually capturing the whole room. Everybody says, hey, Bob, why didn't you just delete the wall? Yeah, if I delete the wall, I don't have a floor and I don't have a ceiling. And it floods the room with natural light, which bleaches everything out. So stretching walls out, even though it seems strange, as a duplicate design, you're not damaging anything, but you can't see it. It's really happening behind you, which gives you that power. It's a cute trick to give you that more authentic image. Moving items around in 3D, can't beat it for all the reasons, to try to make all these core decisions while you're actually in the 3D model. Very, very powerful. Adding additional trims, we already talked about it. Skirting boards, European term. Coving for the top. Light switches, add realism for sure. Mirrors, wonderful. Be careful, they will reflect across the room in case you didn't finish the other decor on the other side of the room. It will tell on you, so be careful. Natural sunlight coming in behind me over here. Nice little subtle shadows down here. Add for the realism. Lights and lamps, turn them on and off for sure. Recessed can lights in here. Awesome. You can turn them on, off, get them close enough to the wall to make those nice triangles of light out there. Last image on the way out, did all the tricks in here. It's a very busy room. It's a lot I'm showing in one image. So I did make a duplicate of it. I did move the wall behind me. I did push my camera outward and get the field of view very small, because you can see the bookcase is very nice and clean and crisp and vertical. Recessed can lights, fun. They're bouncing light on the tops of the furniture. Got them close enough to the wall, so they're making the nice diamonds over there. The skirting boards, the coving inside there, everything's pretty much so represented. And I always tell on myself with this one image, particularly because I missed something. I could have made a better image. And I had this dark wood flooring in the foreground, dark wood, mahogany with that black undertone to it. And yet I have over this great window over here with the Tudor mullions, nice diamond shaped mullions over there. I messed it. I mean, really should have just had the sun, which I could have changed the sun direction, and had the sun coming through this Tudor window over here with these diamond patterns and made diamonds of sunlight, big diamonds of sunlight, right across this dark floor in the foreground. Would have added so much depth. That light, that sunlight in diamond patterns would have also gone across the rug, and it would have gone up this high polished brass to give some sparkle, also high polished brass of the chair itself, and even the dark navy blue velvet chair would have gotten the sun on it. It wouldn't have changed my space planning. It would not have changed my furniture selection. It would not have changed my material selections. But it would have made a more artistic, more impressionable, a more relatable image for my client to see for their first wow impact of what I'm trying to suggest for the decor. We can make better images. You can do this additional artistic influence to your picture. Take the time to do it. You have the powers that are available to you inside Floor Planner. It doesn't take too much more effort. And remember, you can make as many renderings as you care to. It's not a cost issue inside Floor Planner. And for the time of getting images back as fast as 20 seconds to make these decisions, I would recommend you do this to make the best image that your client sees, your best image first. It'll be the most memorable piece, certainly to sell them on your design. Let them be inspired by the beauty of the concept, the art of the image first, and then they'll absorb the rest of your work and the collection that it is. Since 2007, making space planning and interior design accessible to everybody. Mission statement of Floor Planner is to keep it simple. Although I do say a lot of words, don't mean to complicate things. I'm just trying to guide you along with trying to answer all possible questions you could possibly have. But the intention of Floor Planner is to keep the platform simple. Yet we keep changing and we keep advancing because technology keeps getting better and we keep having new tools that we can introduce. And we also hear from your own comments. Floor Planner takes note of that and finds opportunities for your different career paths and your different intentions. What are the tools that you need? So we keep advancing. And as those advances keep coming along, our intention again is to keep it platform-wise simple from your perspective. These gorgeous images that are being rendered and created for your sake, it's a toggle switch and a button to select from, not 300 filters to make a determination as to make the best image. The programmers are taking care of that for you. It's kind of the magic behind the curtain, if you will. That technology part of it is being handled by others. Your simplistic version is just simple settings, minor, nothing too crazy. And we're going to keep that direction going forward, even though Floor Planner is going to keep advancing. We do not want to turn into a complicated platform. We want to keep this user-friendly and fun so you can enjoy your experience, but still make these gorgeous images that I certainly have had to make with other softwares through complicated modes much faster, much easier. So I hope you enjoyed your advanced tools and live demo. Of course, for those of you listening to the recording, it's a recorded live demo. Appreciate you being with me. Appreciate you taking the time. I've been, like I said, a little long-winded today. Sometimes it happens. I think I overshared some extra stuff with you for sure. If there's something I missed or something you have a question about, you certainly can send me an email at bob@floorplanner.com. I'll get you a response back on that. Don't forget about the live webinars that are available now on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. They're on your dashboard, upper right-hand corner. Come on, hop into those for sure. Keep giving you additional information. Keep track and keep watch on not only the advances that are being posted on your login dashboards, but also keep track on the furniture assets. We have a lot of new vendors and manufacturers that are coming aboard with Floor Planner, including additional retailers. This list keeps growing. So you're going to have more and more information available to you. So again, appreciate your time. Hope that this has answered a few questions for you. And I hope that you can just take the time to have fun with Floor Planner and explore, get your hands in there and actually work with it. I think you'll find how easily it will become intuitive for you, develop your technique. Appreciate your time. Have a great day.